We've chosen Northern Star because it's certainly leading from the front there in terms of that gold stocks after that's following Donald Trump saying that the US would leave Iran very soon in 2 to 3 weeks, with the US president due to deliver an address to the nation. So, does this present an opportunity to get back into gold? Henry, what do you think?
Well, Andrew, I have to confess, I was at the gold conference last week and on the Gold Coast, and I've been prattling on about being bullish gold ever since. In fact, I've been bullish gold all the way through, and have not done too much in the way of paring back that risk. So I'm still a gold fan, and I think we'll head back up towards 5,000 again, and certainly 7,000 in Aussie dollar terms. Now there are going to be two, if we do see peace breakout, which would be lovely. There are going to be two casualties, which is oil and oil stocks, obviously, and also the US dollar, which has been the safe haven appeal for many investors. And we've seen the US dollar strengthen over the last month or so on the back of that. Up till then, it was the kind of the de-dollarization push. And at the end of the day, the US has still got $39 trillion in debt, and it is going to continue to have to print money, and this is where gold comes into its own. So as I said, I went to the gold conference last week, was prattling on about gold. I even created a 5-stock gold basket of explorers, some of which I saw at the gold conference, all of which have gone pretty well since Monday when I first wrote those in the newsletter. So Northern Star has had a big fall from grace. It has had production issues, but they are not so much the ore body itself, more to do with aging plant. And I guess, we're all getting older, we're all getting a bit creakier, our knees don't work, our hips don't work, and it's the same with gold mining, manufacturing or production plant as well. So that has certainly affected it. But the comments, I guess, on Northern Star apply across the whole range of these gold stocks. And, with gold, what is it now, 6,800 in Aussie dollar terms, and all in sustaining costs probably around 2,700. These guys are still making an absolute mozza at the moment. Clearly there are some price pressures there because of diesel and the cost of that diesel in remote communities and remote mining projects. But even so, these guys are still going to be making a lot of money. So I still like the gold sector. I have done. I won't probably change or get off my high horse for some time. And 2 days at the gold conference on the appropriately named Gold Coast did nothing to diminish my bullishness, I guess, on gold, which it didn't do what it was supposed to do during the war. But then Turkey sold 60 tons of gold to pay for various things, defences, etc., some missiles perhaps. So 60 tons of gold going into the market. No wonder we fell from 5,500 to 4,400 on the back of 60 tons being sold into the market. But I would be surprised if we didn't see queues back outside ABC bullion again in the next few months.
60 tons?
60 tons.
And they just lumped it on the market at, in one hit?
Well, I don't know if you do it in one hit. You'd like to think
Right.
that they would finesse it slightly. Certainly, if I was the commodity broker that got that particular order, I wouldn't just go, sell her 60 tons at 5,000 and see what happens. You know what's going to happen. But I'd certainly be trickling it out, and that probably accelerated on days when other people got wind of the fact that you were trickling it out as well. So 60 ton, that's a lot of gold.
It is huge. All right, so I'm taking that as a buy then for Northern Star, which is the stock in focus. Yep.
Yeah.
Andrew, what about you? I mean, do you sort of pick a bottom here? Do you feel as though that's in? How would you play it?
Yeah, I like Northern Star, and you might recall, I think it was either the last call we did or the call before that, we had a really interesting viewer question, which was, what was the one company you wish you'd bought 5 years ago and didn't? And in my case, I chose Northern Star. And certainly I think this is potentially an opportunity to catch up on some of that time, because as you can see with the chart there, it was in downtrend there, certainly post that production upgrade they gave in mid to late March, but it is seemingly on the turn. And if I sort of look at the PE, it's now trading on a PE of 10. forecast earnings per share growth of well north of 70% for next year, and its consensus valuation of about $29 versus the current share price of call at 22. The other thing, Andrew, that would give me a fair bit of conviction is that it was recently added to the ASX S&P 20. So it's now Northern Star is now one of the largest 20 companies in Australia. So there's a lot of passive money that's going into the market. And so a number of ETFs will need to be buying Northern Star just to ensure that their portfolios are in line from an index point of view. So forget the fundamentals that Henry's talking about. I'm not saying you should, but even if you just play the supply and demand game, it's going to be a whole lot of people wanting to be buying Northern Star shares. So it's a buy.
That is a double buy then for our stock of the day, Northern Star. Obviously favourable in terms of what we're seeing in gold at the moment.